Let's see. I think. Am I live? Haha, there we go. Okay, I am live. Hi guys. I am here live. I don't think I've ever, or not ever, but I've rarely done an evening live. I usually tend to do afternoon ones during my work time, but this week has been absolutely crazy bananas, not in the best way. And I'll tell you guys about it. Hi. Hi. Nice to see you guys. Yeah, this is kind of an impromptu deal, but if you may have noticed, I haven't had any videos out this week, and it's because we had a really crappy weekend. My youngest son, Miles, was feeling sick, and he had something where he had to take some medication, and the medication was giving him bad side effects of like vomiting and diarrhea. And for a baby that is just shy of 2 months, that can be very dangerous. So we spent the weekend in the hospital with our baby, and it has been awful. So that's why I haven't had any videos this week. We're running on little sleep, and it's just been crazy, just absolutely nuts. So I thought today I would do a little live, or this evening I would do a little live, because I haven't had any time for myself, and I needed to paint, but also I needed to get a video out or two, because while everyone is so understanding and just saying like, take your time away, you have a new baby at home, this is also my job, and this is how I make money. This is how I support my family. And so when I don't make videos, I don't make money. And so I kind of have to. There's no maternity leave when it comes to YouTubers. So I'll just say that, but he is doing better. He also had his 2-month vaccinations today. So he was super fussy and in pain today. It's been a week from hell. There is absolutely nothing worse than having your child sick, especially a little baby. And so he is doing better. He is going to get better over the next couple of days as the meds kind of rid himself of his system. But until then, we're just kind of hoping that everything's okay, because like I said, it is absolutely awful having a sick child. Thank you guys. Yeah, it's been so hard. So today I'm going to paint, because my lovely husband, I'm actually opening a brand new Etcher sketchbook, because I just finished, I think I'm on the last page of my other one, and I don't want to paint on the last page. I want to start something fresh. But my lovely husband, Matt, got me these flowers sent. Oh my God, they're amazing. He had these flowers delivered because he knows I love peonies, and they are my absolute favorite flower, and it is peony season. And so he had, oh my God, he had these delivered. I can't even speak, so hang in there with me. Of these roses and peonies. So I thought, you know what, I would just play around in my sketchbook with white peonies, because white flowers are very hard to paint, but I also just want to paint them before they die. So that's what we're going to do today. And it's funny, because while he did that for me, it's like we were both in the hospital with Miles, so we're both struggling, but the fact that he thought of me to do that was really sweet. Now I got to think of something for him, because it was really sweet, and he's amazing. And we had my mom taking care of our son Noah while we were in the hospital. It was awful. Anyway, on a more positive note, I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, besides that, there's not too much more of updated stuff here. So I'm just going to flip the camera around so you can still see my face, but watch my messy desk. Ready? Ta-da! I'm gonna zoom in. a bit so you don't see the mess too much. And I am going to open up this. Oh, is this hot pressed? Is this a hot press sketchbook or is this cold pressed? No, that's cold pressed. I'm crazy. If you guys haven't seen the Etch A Sketchbooks before, I have done a tutorial, not tutorial, a review of them. They are my favorite sketchbooks. This is the cold pressed A4, I believe, landscape orientation. There's, I believe, 56 pages, like 26 or something like that. But you can use front and back, and then they come with these, a little pocket at the back, and then a little information card. Let me just make sure this is cold press, right? Yeah, this is A4. Mixed media, cotton cold pressed. Yes, 26 sheets, 52 front and back. And these are awesome. I love starting a new one. Love Etch A Sketchbooks. They're my favorite. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to skip the first page. I don't know why. I'm always really weird about that. Just in case I ruin the first page. I feel like I don't like when you ruin the first page of a book. Does that make sense? I see you're starting the white journal. Do you use that more than the perfect sketchbook? I do. I do, actually. And maybe it's because I know that the perfect sketchbook has higher quality paper and I'm scared to like waste it. But I do use my white sketchbooks more than the perfect sketchbook, which if you guys don't know which that is, it is this one, which I also love, but I just don't, because I only have one of them, I don't tend to use it as much because I'm scared to, but it is really great as well. I just don't use it as much. Maybe I should use it. I don't know. But I think I try and save this one for more like finished pieces that I want to keep. I do a lot of practice and tutorial stuff in this. So that is what we are doing today. Okay. Okay. Now I'm just kind of organizing my desk because it's also extremely messy. I've been doing a lot of book writing and illustrating stuff in the past week too, so it's like super messy of a bunch of other stuff. I'm just looking, hold on, at what people are saying. Oh, before I get started. Thank you guys. Awesome. Okay. So I have my Emma Lefebvre Craft Mo brushes here. My size 12, size 6, and my mop or overwash round, and my size 2 somewhere, but I don't think I need it. Okay. So I'm going to just play around with like painting peony flowers, white ones. So usually white flowers, like you can go any way with this. All white flowers have some sort of undertone to them, whether it be like a beige or a brown, or it could be purple, yellow, anything. You can basically choose. The way I'm looking at these flowers right now, they kind of have like a yellowy or even grayish tint to them. So I might try to do that. I have this like grayish color here. So I might just take like the lightest wash of this to paint some peonies. And I'm not painting like an actual bouquet right now. I'm just going to kind of like play around with the shapes that I'm seeing. Oh, you guys are so sweet. My book, I think we're aiming for it to come out this fall, which is exciting. And I'm just gonna kind of work on some like rounded shapes. Now I know this is like super, super light. Hopefully you can see it. Just some rounded, loose shapes. I might try and zoom you guys in so you can see a bit better. That's a bit more on the greeny side. Trying to do these like ball shapes and like little dots in the middle. I know it's like super light. Just dropped a whole bunch of water there. Then I'm going to try and make up for it with like a green stem that's kind of like encasing it all together. Actually, let's get a little bit more gray in there. Like that. And then I'm going to take my green, add some sap green here. Might add a little bit of yellow to it. And then like that. It's a little bit too dark for my liking, but we're just playing around today. I haven't had any time to just paint and play for myself in forever, so we're gonna do that. Just gonna add a little bit of green up there. Maybe another leaf. Just playing around today. And I'll try to answer any questions that I see coming up. Just playing around with shapes. Let's do another peony, one that's a bit more open. So I'm going to start off with like a rounded bottom. Should probably do this in a darker color so you guys can see, but I just want to try and work with white just for a little bit, and then maybe we might work on the next page with some darker colors. I want to try and do like an open one. Just a bunch of like squiggles in the middle. You can have one falling down. And like these jagged kind of edges to them. But leaving enough white space that you can kind of get a feel of the shape, if that makes sense. I haven't done one that looks like this before, so I'm just kind of playing. Adding a little bit of darkness towards the base and the center. I grab some of that green. Have some of the leaves come out from the bottom. Have a little bit of green in the center. You guys see it? When did you start painting with watercolor? I had painted before, like when I was younger, but not like actually, like I had tried watercolor. I remember like as a kid or in school, but not properly. Wasn't until like 2016 that I really gave it a try, and then started buying supplies and was totally obsessed. So it's been about 5 years, 6 years? Whatever year it is. Question, how do you know how much greenery to put around the flower? I don't. I just kind of like play and then see. Right now I'm looking at an actual flower so I can kind of see a little bit, but I don't know, whatever. The thing is, like, whatever feels right. So I don't have a set number, but I just play, and I've played enough that I kind of know how to kind of get a feeling for it. Does that make sense? I'm not making sense. I know that. I'm sorry. But yeah. Question. Every time I see you live, you do amazing work. Do you ever have off days where things just don't work out? All the time. all the time. Oh my God, if you guys could see all the times that I get frustrated. Like, do you know how many of my work days so my work days meaning my husband and I split the days taking care of our kids. We live together, but like he works half the day, then I work half the day. But if you could see how many of my times, my work days, end up with me producing absolutely nothing because it didn't work out, or I was frustrated. It's ridiculous. Like, it happens all the time, and it's super frustrating. I can honestly say I feel like I haven't produced anything I've liked in a really long time, and it just doesn't work out. So it's not just you, it's me too. It's super, super frustrating. But yeah. I like how you guys are writing question in all caps. It's kind of drawing my eye to it, so I know that you guys are asking a question. So if you can do that, that would be actually really helpful. Question: are your brushes on Amazon? They are not. They are sold through Craftimo. So if you go to craftimo.com, you will find them there. They're in the description of this video as well, I believe. Where do I buy my art supplies? I used to buy them at an art store, Curry's in Toronto, but we moved away from there, and there's no Curry's close to here anymore, and it's really upsetting. So Amazon, sadly, Amazon. Yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of purple in here. Why not? Well, that's too much. Just throw it in there. Why not? Oh, that's already dry. Whatever. We're just playing. Yeah, brushes are at craftamo.com, craftamo.com. And I'm actually probably working with them on something else soon, which is very exciting. I won't say what, but it's exciting. How much are your brushes? It depends on where you are in the world, because exchange rate and all that stuff. But Canadian, I think they're like 63 for the pack of 4. I think. So this one I added a bit more yellow to. I'm just doing these like rounded shapes. Ugh. I wish peony season was all year round. They're so hard to find, and they fly off the shelves like so fast. There's like this flower market by my house, and they were like out on Friday, and then Miles had to go to the hospital, and I wanted them and I couldn't go get them, and then I went on, when was it? Tuesday, and they were all gone. They're like, yeah, they sold out right away, and I was like, oh. And then hubby bought me these, so thankfully. But I just want them at all times. At all times. Absolute favorite flowers. I don't really know what I'm doing, guys. I'm just kind of painting. More yellow. Ooh, that is a bright yellowy green. Too bright. That's okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Just playing. Do you have other creative hobbies? Right now I have no other time for hobbies. I wish. I think it's mostly just painting at the moment. I used to sing and dance and do all that kind of stuff. Hasn't been years, but I used to be into the performing arts quite a bit. Now I just sing for my kids and they tell me to stop. But yeah, not really, sadly. Hopefully, honestly, once Noah gets to kindergarten, which is in September, I'm hoping that I can start doing more things for myself. I mean, I'll still have Miles around, but I'm hoping that I might have a bit more time to do some more creative things for myself. You've also talked about small travel water sets. Where can you find them? I don't really have too many small travel sets. I think Paul Rubens watercolors are the smallest travel set I have. But I just bring it with me anyway. Oh my goodness, and I'm tired. Do you have advice to get back into painting? I stopped due to health issues, and now I lost my confidence. You don't need confidence to paint. You just need the love for it and just wanting to practice. Just don't pressure yourself to produce something perfect. Like, you don't need confidence to paint because you're not produced. Like, I mean, I get that way because I'm painting in front of how many of you, right? But I'm also just trying to be real, like, it's not always going to work out, But just so go in with no expectation of creating something perfect. Just paint to paint, right? Just paint because it's fun or relaxing or whatever it needs to be for you. Paint with no expectation. I recently did a video, was it last week already? 5 tips on how to get yourself motivated. So check that out. That might help. Because I find it very hard to get motivated at times. So I totally get that. And those could probably or hopefully help. Okay, there's some white peonies. I like them. They're relaxing. They're fluffy. I wonder if I should paint some of the roses that are in this. Let me just show this again because it's beautiful. I forgot the camera was up there as well. I was trying to show it to the face camera. But they're so pretty. I'm going to try and paint these roses as well on the same paper. There's a pinkish color in my palette. Let's use that. I'm just going to paint one up here. Just do some small squiggly circles. Take some of that pigment off and then start making some curvy shapes around. Nice and fluffy. Add some more color in there. Oh, I've missed this. I miss painting from real inspiration, like flowers in front of me. Sometimes that will also get you going, if like flowers are your thing. I've missed it so much. I've missed just having fresh flowers in my house. For Mother's Day, I did not ask for flowers because I was so overwhelmed with the newborn that I was like, they're just going to die before I can appreciate them, which definitely would have happened. So I just didn't ask. I didn't want them. But I forgot how much I love them. I add a bit of green to the tips of these. Like that. Grab a bit of orange, put it in with my green. Get like a olivey color. And just play. Let's see what people are saying. I just had my 5th baby and named him Noah. I've noticed how popular his name is now that we have a Noah. It's funny. So I taught kindergarten for 6 years. And I had never, and trying to pick a kid's name, your baby name, is hard, especially when you've taught so many kids and some that you don't like. But I have never taught a Noah. So that was one I really, really liked. But now that we've moved out here, there's always a Noah at the park, which is funny because I'd never met another kid Noah when I was teaching. Hello from Kansas City. I own these brushes as well. Love them. Yay! Good investment towards your passion for watercolor. Oh, yay, thank you. I'm so glad you like them. Question, how much do beam paints cost? I got mine from Indigo, which is our local bookstore. If you're in the States, it's kind of like a Barnes and Noble kind of deal. They are, I think they were $65 for a little thing, which is expensive, but they're handmade, and I don't know, female indigenous owner, so I was like, support. I'm just trying to see if I'm missing anything. Hi Emma, I'm new to watercolor painting in general. I have difficulty making my petals look like petals and not so uniform. Any suggestion? I know, it's so hard to be like loose. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people. And it was definitely a big struggle for me. I would honestly take a page, like getting a sketchbook is, I find, super helpful to have, because you can just take pages like this and just practice strokes, right? Like, don't feel like you have to waste your great paper or sheets of paper. Just get a sketchbook and just practice like these loose strokes. Get your hand really nice and loose and just kind of play around. And it will definitely happen eventually where you kind of just get it. My flowers at the beginning were not great. But the more you practice and play around, the more you'll get a feeling for your style and all that, if that makes sense. It can definitely be hard to be nice and loose with your paintings. I definitely get that. Just takes practice. That's why we're just playing today. Cool. Question, where is your pretty mixing palette from? I'm guessing you're not talking about this one. I'm guessing you're talking about my actual really, really pretty one, which is this one. This is from Pottery by Eleni. I can add it. I think it's, if you look on Instagram, it's Pottery by Eleni. It was really expensive, but I love it. And it's just so pretty. And sometimes you need, yeah, Pottery by Eleni. If you can see that, hopefully. Look, I found her on Instagram, but it's just so pretty. So pretty. So I would definitely recommend if you need something kind of inspiring to use. Question, I have snappy brushes and sable brushes, which are very thirsty and hold a lot of fluid. I have problems with holding the fluid in the snappy ones. Any tips? I know they're very different. And the thing is if you like the ones that hold a lot more water and that's what you're used to, use that. Like, I just like the snappy ones just because that's what I started out with and that's what I'm used to and I just like it. I just really pick up a lot of water and I just had a lot of time practicing with them, so I know how much water they can hold and for what I need, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It just takes time of using them and playing with them. Like, if I were to use one of those brushes that were a bit more like, which ones do I have? I think is it this one? Yeah, from Princeton, the Neptune series. These are very like soft and they hold a lot of water. I'm not as good with these as I am with these just because I've practiced a lot more with the snappier ones. So when I say I have a preference, it's because this is what I started out with and this is just what I've had a lot more time with. But yeah, stick with whatever feels good to you, right? I'm liking all the questions. How do you season your plastic palette? Okay, I'm going to put you on my face so we can chat because I feel like you're just looking at my hands. It's a little weird. And I can answer all of these questions because I'm kind of, am I done painting? I don't know. I need this to dry anyway before I paint some more. How do you season your plastic palette? So I actually didn't. I just started sticking paints in immediately. And then the mixing wells, I just kept using them over time and they didn't bead anymore. But what I have discovered is if you take a glue stick and you rub a glue stick all over the mixing wells, so saying like these parts, and then wipe it off with a paper towel, you'll get less beading. But over time also, if you just use it, the plastic coating will just wear off. So I didn't really do a lot to that one. Look at my hair. I'm just like a mess. It's all good. Question. I have a very small palette. Only fits 20 colors. What are the top 20 colors that you would suggest? 20 colors is actually a lot of colors. There's a lot of colors. You do not need a ton of colors. Okay, I'll give you my top ones that I actually use. Okay. So I have a lemon yellow and a cadmium yellow. I use cadmium yellow more than any other yellow, I think. So I'd say cadmium yellow. I really like yellow ochre, but you can mix your own yellow ochre with cadmium yellow and a bit of dioxazine purple. So you don't need a yellow ochre. However, I do use that one a lot. You don't need orange. So yellow ochre, Winsor red, which I feel like is a really nice neutral red, permanent rose, dioxazine purple or Winsor violet dioxazine. I'm really loving olive green. I have a lot of greens in my palette. But if I just say one green, do sap green, and then I'll add more greens at the end when I see how many I have. Sap green. And then I'd say for two blues, I'm enjoying Winsor blue. I have the green shade, but I feel like the red shade would have been better. And turquoise, phthalo turquoise. Indigo. Payne's gray, that's 10. Black and burnt umber, that's 12. So that's only 12. And you can mix like a billion things with that. Extras that I would add on to that. The top 5 I would start with, to be honest, are permanent rose, Winsor red, cadmium yellow, sap green, and maybe turquoise, phthalo turquoise. But yeah, if I had to add more onto that, I would add all the greens. My favorite greens are olive green, Hooker's green dark, sap green, perline green. Those are my 4 favorite greens. And cobalt blue is nice too. Yeah. I think that's it. Gina Marie Gavin, you are asking a ton of wonderful questions. How do you refill your palette? I use the tubes and I just squeeze the tubes into the little areas and let them dry overnight. That's it. Hi Emma. What about watercolor painting first attracted you and is still as exciting? What first attracted me to watercolor was the way it moved on the paper. I remember looking at Instagram and seeing like people do like these watercolor backgrounds and just kind of like tilting the paper and like watching it drip or like adding color like wet on wet and watching it bloom. And I remember going, wow, that's really cool. And so that's what I started doing, and then writing like positive quotes over top. That's what attracted me to it. And still, I just find it so relaxing. I love it. One of the main reasons why I love watercolor, I used to paint with acrylic all the time in like high school and in my early 20s. But what I love about watercolor is that it's an easy cleanup. Like with acrylic, if you leave your paint out and it dries, it's done. It's dry and you can't use it anymore. But watercolor, and especially being a mom, my kids start screaming, I can leave everything as is and I don't have to worry about my paint drying out or, you know, something messed up. Like I just don't have to do cleanup. I can literally just leave it there and then come right back or close it up and come right back. It's super easy and fast to use. And that's one of its appeals for me. But I also just love the way it looks. I've tried gouache And I want to love gouache. I love the look of gouache, but I find it extremely frustrating for me personally to use. I keep trying because I love the look of it. I love how other artists paint with it, but I cannot seem to get the hang of it where I enjoy it as much. I don't know why. Acrylic is okay. I still just prefer watercolor, I think. Question, could you tell the website for the brushes again, please? Yes, it's craftamo.com. So it's CRAFTAMO, like I love crafts, .com. It should be in the description. If there's nothing in the description right now, it will be, I believe. How often do I refill my palette? When colors start to get low. I like to have a pretty full palette, but not that often. Honestly, that's one reason why I let them dry in my palette overnight, and I use, my paints from dry. Like I don't use them wet straight out of the tube, because I find that you use wet straight out of the tube paint more, like you use more of it than you do the dry ones. So you could just use a pan palette, but I like customizing my palette. And being able to easily refill it, which is why I use the tubes. But I do like pan palettes as well, but I love the tubes because I like to customize and I find it easier to refill. I love your hair. Thank you. Your hair's fine. Thank you. I washed it for the first time in like 4 days. Emma, I'm somewhat new to watercolor, but I've discovered I prefer pan watercolor. It's a lot less messy. What is the best way to mix colors when you're using pan watercolor? Same as you would mix the tubes in the palette. It's funny, I started out with tubes and I love tubes the best, and I hadn't recently got pan watercolor sets until companies started sending them to me, and I was always like on the fence, like, man, I don't really like them. I actually like them too. I just use this because this is what I've invested the most money in, so I want to use it. But just the same, you just swish it in the little areas, activate it with lots of water, bring it over to a mixing well, and then bring another color over to the same mixing well and mix it the same. I hope that answered your question. Question, do you use Under the Sea Green by I'm guessing Daniel Smith? I don't. I haven't tried that color. I don't have, yes, Daniel Smith. I have the primary 6 Daniel Smith colors that I got in a set, and I like them. Like, they're great, but because I've because I've invested so much money into my Winsor & Newton paints, and I love them, I haven't really explored too much of Daniel Smith because I really don't need to be buying more paint, and I love Winsor & Newton as it is, so I haven't tried a lot of Daniel Smith, but I know they're just as good. They're all great. My first time you live, I really enjoy your videos. Thank you. Aside from YouTube videos for making money, do you do commissions or sell paintings anywhere? I don't sell my paintings. There have been a couple times where I've sold a few, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I am not a confident artist in the sense that I don't sell my work because I don't feel confident in it. And also, I don't know, and I know other people like it, and I know other people would buy it, but I don't always feel so confident in it. I feel like I'm a better teacher than I am a painter. Does that make sense? Even though I'm teaching painting, I love painting, but I love teaching more than I love creating to sell it. Teaching is my passion. Teaching, my love for watercolor is my passion. So yeah, I don't sell that. My only other source of income is Patreon. So if you want to support me there, you can definitely go over to Patreon. I have ideas of how to make it better because I've been so absent because of the baby. And my Patreon community is so incredible. I've told them many times, I'm like, you can, delete your Patreon subscription to me because I know I haven't been as active as I'd like to be. I want you to get your money's worth, and I know it's not there right now because I'm just struggling a little bit, trying to find time to paint and mom at the same time. But they're all like, no, we're here to support you. So if you ever want to financially support me, you can go to Patreon and support me for as little as $3 a month. But yeah, so that's my other source of income. But besides that, that's it. And then my Etsy workbooks, which I'm besides my new, like my actual book that's going to come out, hopefully in the fall, I did some Etsy digital. They're digital. Someone yelled at me the other day because she wanted a hard copy and she didn't get delivered her hard copy. And I'm like, it says digital in the description. But yeah, I have those on Etsy as well, which are in the description as well. Okay, stop rambling. Question, what is a potato? A vegetable? Literally says, what is a potato? What's a potato? What kind of tape do you use to prevent the paint from bleeding to the edge that won't damage the paper? I get literally painter's tape from the dollar store. This is painter's tape in the construction section at Dollarama. That's what I use, and it works great. My favorite brand of watercolor is Winsor & Newton. Daniel Smith is great. M. Graham is great. I mean, I don't have a lot of them. I've just tested some. Paul Rubens is great. Sennelier is nice. I'm trying to think of what else I've tried. I can't remember. But Winsor & Newton is my favorite brand. Question, what brand Perlene Green, please? Winsor & Newton. I love it. It's so pretty. I love your tip of mixing green and purple. That was like my favorite go-to green to mix was Hooker's Green Dark and Dioxazine Purple together, the COTMAN, but even like professional grade. If you mix half and half, it turns gray, but if you mix just a little bit of the purple and more of the green, it's like this really beautiful dark like hunter green. Question, what is the best high quality, cheap watercolor paper? It's hard because quality watercolor paper is not that cheap, and it varies depending on where you are. The US is so much cheaper for paper. It's crazy. But to get a good pad of paper in Canada, or at least where I am, it's about $30. Arches is my favorite. Canson Heritage is good. Fabriano I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's still good. Trying to think. If you're curious about other cotton watercolor papers to try, I have a video. Just look up Emma Lefebvre cotton watercolor paper, or 100% cotton, and then the video will come up, and it's like I tried 7 different brands out, and so if I give you the rundown of kind of how I felt about them, and if any of those are available to you for a cheaper price, get those. But there's not like one cheap one that I can recommend. It used to be B watercolor paper, but then it wasn't available for the longest time, so I don't even know about that anymore. What do you think about M. Graham paints? They're nice. I think they're made with honey, so they're a bit more, not wet, but they're like stickier, but they're really vibrant and beautiful. I had like someone sent me some like tester ones, and they're really nice. You're a great teacher. Thank you. I've been toying with trying a few beam paints. Do you find them different to paint with? Are they worth it, the extra cost because they're handmade? Okay. So I love beam paints, but I find like they're good quality, but I find the quality for me is not the same as my Winsor & Newton. So I don't find myself painting with them as much. I find them a bit more granulating and a bit more, not chalky, but they're just not the same as my professional like artist grade watercolor or Winsor & Newton paints. They are really nice, but I think for me they're more of a novelty because if you're wondering what I'm talking about, it's these ones. They are made in Canada. They're made, she's an Indigenous female-owned paint maker, and all her packaging is plastic-free. Very environmentally friendly. She makes them on Manitoulin Island, which is an island in Canada, and they're so beautiful. That's what attracted me to them. Like, look how pretty. And I just find them inspiring to use. Are they my favorite watercolors to use? I'll be honest, they're not my favorite watercolors at all. But they're just really pretty and inspiring to use. And sometimes when I need a little pick-me-up, I find them really fun to use. So it's definitely a little bit of a splurge because they are small. Like, it was smaller than I thought they were going to be. So it's definitely like a treat yourself if you can, kind of thing. If that makes sense. Schminka is my favorite. I haven't used those. Yeah, M. Graham use honey. I love Paul Rubens. Paul Rubens is great. They sent me their student grade pan. I think they're like excellent watercolors, but they're called Mi Liang. And these are actually really good and really affordable. So if you're looking for something that's really affordable, and there's 48 colors, there's some pearlescent ones in here. This is like probably my favorite, most affordable student grade palette. I don't know if you can see the brand there. But yeah, they're pretty great. Are you ever going to teach an in-person workshop? I live in Georgia, but would love to come. Oh my gosh. So guys, I'm like toying with the idea of soon, like once my son goes to kindergarten and I have more time and I just have the baby all day, I would really love to. So I live in Niagara in Canada, and I live in wine country, basically. There are so many beautiful wineries and places that I would love to approach to teach and do like a wine and paint workshop. Like, there's just so many beautiful locations here. So I'm really toying with that idea of doing that soon, because that was my goal in 2020, and then the pandemic hit and I couldn't do it anymore. So that idea totally flopped, but in the next year or so, that is definitely my goal, is to teach in-person workshops, because I miss talking to people and not my camera. Like, I know you guys are on the other side, but I'm talking to a camera and it can be extremely awkward and lonely. So I am, and I will announce it. But yeah, I want to teach in person so bad. Your illustration series was great. Any more lessons on the horizon on how to make characters? I could try. I feel like I used to draw people all the time. But I just haven't practiced a lot. So maybe in the future. Questions. What extras are you going to do on Patreon? I have to figure that out, because right now just things are so overwhelming. Juggling 2 kids is crazy when you don't have daycare or help. Like, it's just me and my husband. We don't have grandparents in the area to help out with the kids. So we have them full time. And even so, it's just like trying to film and someone's having a meltdown downstairs is like impossible. So I don't know yet. But right now, like, my top tier gets an extra, like a printable of some sort. So right now I'm just doing printables of the calendar, the monthly bouquet. The second top tier is you get an extra live per month. The second tier is an extra Patreon tutorial, exclusive. And then the first tier is just, what's it called? Oh, I hear my son crying. Oh, baby. Hopefully he's just hungry and he didn't throw up again. My husband has him. He's good. I think he's hungry. Anyway, yeah. I don't remember. I have to figure out a bit more Patreon, because I really want people to get their money's worth. Do you use watercolor pencils and watercolor? I was wondering if they would run into each other. If you use it lightly, it won't run into each other, but because it's a watercolor pencil, it's actually really great for outlines, because then you can just add water and it just kind of disappears almost. So I would use the same color that you're about to paint with, if that makes sense. Question, do you think you'd be able to make more color matching videos? Those were fantastic and help me understand how colors combined. Thank you for sharing your talent with us. Oh, thank you. I love color matching. It is so fun. I don't know if you guys have seen like TikTok videos. There's this guy who does it with acrylic or oil or something. And I just find him so fun to watch. So I was thinking of doing that like a challenge as well, because I love color matching. So good to know that you like that, because I will definitely do that again. I was thinking of doing that challenge myself. Tips for painting more realistic. I'm not really a realist painter, but with realism, not realism, because I don't actually know how to paint realism, but more I like to call my realism stuff detailed. You're working in layers and kind of building up layers. So it's actually nicer if you don't like to work really, really fast, because you can work slow and take your time and build up your layers. But I don't think I'm the person to ask for that, because that's not my specialty. I'm more of like a loose style, quick, fast painter. When do you start painting for the day? Do you spray the whole palette? I don't spray my whole, sometimes I do. As I have this little water bottle, this little spray bottle that sometimes I will spray down my whole palette before I do a painting. Sometimes I don't. It's a good idea to do it just to start activating your paints. But if you don't want to, like if you don't think you're going to use the whole palette, you can just dip your paintbrush in water and then just put a couple drops of water into the colors you're going to be using. So you don't have to spray down your whole palette. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Depends on the day. Is B watercolor paper 100% cotton? Yes, it is. And so if you can find it, I would get it. Although I think they changed something about it. I haven't tried it since they changed. So hopefully it's still the same quality, but the last time I used it, it was pretty great. Hi Emma, have you done some paintings using metallic watercolor paint? I just bought some handmade metallic watercolor paint. I was wondering what was the brand you used in those paintings. I did one painting with the Paul Rubens metallic set, and then another one was a handmade card thing by KMS Watercolor. She does handmade watercolors, which are really, I love the metallics. So yeah. Is the baby already born? Yes, he is. He's 2 months old today. Miles is 2 months old today, and he's super stinking cute. Maybe I'll get my husband to bring him up here in a minute if he's not freaking out downstairs. I would love to go to Niagara to paint with you. Oh, that'd be so awesome. I love that you guys are saying that you travel to come to a workshop. That's mind-blowing. You're not far away from Michigan yet? Yeah, Niagara's great. I love it here. I love your channel and your art so much. Thank you for sharing your light with the world. Thank you. You helped me through lockdown. Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks, guys. I've been watching and admiring you and your talent. I wish I could paint. If I were to start with supplies, what are the most needed? Paints, brushes, and paper. If you want to start cheap or like less expensive, I would get a pan palette. Like I said, this one, the Meliang one, is a really good one. I really like this one, and there's 48 colors. So like a pan palette like this is good to start with, just because it has all the colors. And if you're not super like into watercolor yet, and you don't want to build up a collection of tubes, which could be more expensive, a pan set's great. Brushes, my favorite cheap ones or inexpensive ones were the Princeton snap brushes. Depends on where you find them. If you're in the States, dickblick.com has them, and they're very inexpensive, and they were my favorite before I started using my own. The Emma Lefebvre ones, if you want to splurge, you can get those. And then paper. You can always start off with like something like Canson paper, which is not the greatest, but I mean, just to practice. But Canson Heritage is great. B Watercolor is great. Something that if you can find 100% cotton is always the best, but use what you can find. And yeah, I have a series, I think, of a 4-part series of everything you need to learn about watercolor. It's in my playlist. If you guys check out my playlists on my channel, you'll find a lot of beginner knowledge stuff there. What do I do with my paintings? Mine are in a big basket. Mine are in a big bin. I'll show you this. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. And then there's just others that are spread about the house. My room is an absolute disaster, by the way. Oh my god, this is heavy. This is like all of my tutorials, like this is smushed all of my tutorials from over the years. And then all my recent tutorials are everywhere in my room. That's also partially why I stopped using loose leaf paper like Arches paper for my tutorials, and I started using sketchbooks just because I just had so many sheets of paper laying around. I gotta get going soon. Have you ever painted big, larger I did one tutorial, I think, where I did a landscape on a larger sheet. If you look up, like, I don't even know what it was called. But I typically don't. One, because it doesn't really fit on camera that well. And two, I don't like it. It's harder to do a large scale painting. So I don't. Which is the best way to begin watercolor? Wet and wet, wet and dry. Depends on what you're painting. I like wet and wet because it's the most fun. And it's the beauty of watercolor. I started to get interested in larger watercolor paintings, but it's a little daunting. It is. Even I don't do that. Start smaller, in my opinion. Are botanical paintbrushes worth looking into? I don't know. I've never tried them. Botanical paintbrushes. Let me see if Matt is feeding Miles or not. He might be. Let's see how the baby's doing. If he can answer. Are you feeding Miles? Or is he in a good mood or sleeping or in a bad mood?
I'm currently feeding Miles.
Okay, never mind. I was just going to see if you wanted to bring him up, but I don't want to disturb him. You'll see him in another video soon. Beginner here. Do you grab a few colors you plan to use for a painting and water them down, ready to use, or do you as you go? I choose as I go. Yeah. I'm rarely a planner. I mean, I try to for my videos, but when I'm just like painting, I just usually pick as I go. So sometimes, like I said, I will wet all the paints, or I'll just wet them as I go, if that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to see how he's grown. Yeah, he's big. He's not even that big, but he's 10 pounds now. But he's chunky, and he's so cute. He's so cute. He's so cute. But yeah, that's kind of about it. I'm sorry there wasn't too much painting being done. Would you recommend a good product for a color wheel, or did you create your own? I always create my own, and I have a tutorial on how to create your own color wheel. Best size sketchbook? I like A4, but whatever works for you. Hold on. Let me see if there's a cute photo of him. This was him in the hospital. He was so happy, even though he was in the hospital looking at a monkey. Yeah. Okay. Enough showing you guys my cute baby. All right. Okay. Wait, you just said my son weighed 11 pounds at birth. Okay. So I look at Miles all the time and he's 10 pounds. And I'm like, how do people deliver a baby this big? Scares me. So kudos to you. My goodness. That is insane. But wow. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. Again, I'm sorry that I haven't been on much. It's just been crazy. So if there are any parents out there that have more than one child and would like to give me advice in the comments below, of how to juggle 2 kids, because it is absolutely bananas. I'm still trying to figure out how this works because it is intense, especially with not much help. Matt and I are, each other's teammates. That's all we got. But yeah, let us know in the comments below how you juggle 2 kids, because it is crazy. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. And you know what? I think I might do more evening lives if the little one will let me. just to get some videos out, and we can chat and paint, and I'll paint something a bit more exciting next time. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening.